Welcome to the channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Story 1. Girlfriend cheated on me with the guy who's like a brother to her. I am 19, dated my now ex-girlfriend, F18, for about 9 months. We had met in high school and been friends for a few years before this. We had always been that pair of guy-girl friends that everyone says would definitely date in the future, but for a while I laughed it off. Eventually, I realized I had feelings for her, and after a few months of feeling out how a relationship would be with her, we made things official. Fast forward 8 months later, we were having a lot of issues. We'd have the normal fighting here and there, but the main issue was the way she spoke to me when we fought. For the record, I'm diagnosed BPD and have been receiving therapy for years, and finally feel like I've taken control and am living my own life instead of my BPD living me. But even with my issues, I never spoke to her the way she did to me. The name calling, the screaming, the cursing at me. I'd practically be in tears just begging for her to talk to me as if I'm someone she genuinely cares about, like she claims she did. These fights would typically end with me getting no apology and having to just sleep off what happened. We could talk again when she was ready to, with no consideration about how I felt. I was willing to deal with all this. She had been one of my closest and consistent females friends for years. I thought I knew her. I was willing to do whatever it took to make things work. I begged her on multiple occasions to try to get therapy for herself. She made excuses every single time. At this point, the good times were still outweighing the bad times, and so I just stuck with it, hoping something would click in her head someday. Then Noah, M18, came along. He was an old friend who was like a brother to my girlfriend, who had gotten back in contact with her. It caught me off guard at first because she had told me about some terrible things this guy had done to her when they were friends, and that was why they stopped talking for a couple years. As time went on, it felt like I was getting pushed away. Every time we hung out, she couldn't go 2 minutes without texting him. I got frustrated one day and called her out about the incessant texting. She insisted they barely texted, and I asked her to prove it by showing how many snaps they'd exchanged in just the past 24 hours on Snapchat. She hesitated, then obliged. As she swiped through, I noticed he had swiped up on her story at one point calling her pretty. I got frustrated and asked why she had tried to keep it from me. Typically whenever some guy tried flirting with her, she'd either instantly block them or start trolling them. She played it off as a one-time thing. The constant texting continued for another week, and it led to a giant blow-up at a friend's house. I'll admit I had been drinking, and my girlfriend had been cold to me nearly the entire night, still texting Noah. I asked if she would sit with me on the couch, and when she said no, I snapped back with a petty comment. "I'll bet if I was Noah you'd come over in a heartbeat." An argument broke out in front of our mutual friend, and it ended with her once again trying to prove they barely texted by opening their Snapchat chat. Again, I saw that he had slid up on another one of her posts to call her beautiful. I told her I had had enough and that I was beyond uncomfortable with their friendship. I told her this dude had zero respect for the fact that she was in a relationship, and that if she respected our relationship at all, she'd cut him off. We argued for half an hour more before she finally blocked him. I thought this was the end. Last Saturday night, we were hanging out at my house. She randomly asked if she could go through my phone. I instantly said sure, I had nothing to hide. After she finished, I asked on a whim if I could go through hers. She hesitated for a few minutes and made some excuses before letting me do so. I eventually went through her Discord DMs and found a recent DM with Noah. Like, 2 days recent. Scrolling up, I found that they had a call history also. I stared at her in disbelief, but she sat there quiet. Knowing there had to be more, I tried to find any text messages with Noah. When I found nothing, I used the feature that thank God she didn't know about, recently deleted iMessages. When I saw the words Noah and over 3,000 text messages, my heart dropped. I recovered the text messages and then searched some keywords. My name, hookup, says, boyfriend, to name a few. The things I read still make me want to throw up. She had body shamed me to this guy. She went to him nearly every time we were fighting and flat out left out the part where she'd berate me over and over. She had made me sound like all I was good for was says. She told him that she hoped she could get with him when me and my boyfriend break up. That's just the surface as well. I also found out that they had hung out in person behind my back and went thrifting, but I couldn't find any evidence that anything sexual happened. After I couldn't bear to stomach reading anymore, I asked her to leave my house and just broke down. It's been nearly a week and I just can't process everything. I'm still so attached to the point that I can't bring myself to go no contact. She texts me constantly sounding genuine and begging for me to reconsider things. She promises she'll get therapy and that she already cut off Noah on everything. She apologizes over and over and says all she wants is for us to work things out. I'm not stupid. I know the game. I've heard these empty promises before and I've watched them fall apart days later. And yet, some small and admittedly insane part of me wants to just run back to her, wrap her in a giant hug, and pretend nothing ever happened. I fucking hate it. I know I need to go no contact, but I just can't cope with the fact of losing someone that's been in my life for so long. It hurts and angers me so much that she was willing to throw away 9 months of dating and 4 years of friendship just for a few weeks of attention from a guy that didn't give a duck about her past the point of getting what he wanted from her. I'm just lost. I know what I need to do, but I can't do it. She was and honestly still is my comfort person. And that's most definitely my BPD at play, but it still is a very real feeling. I don't even know what I'm looking for in response to this write-up. But I will say I do feel a little bit better and more clear-headed after even just typing this up. If there's any confusion or misunderstanding, I can and will clarify in replies. Story 2. 28M, 29F, my girlfriend cheated on me. I have decided to end things after a month of deliberation, but the situation has complicated. As per the title, my girlfriend of 5 years informed me that she had cheated on me with one of her friends whilst on a trip away. She had always gone on a lot of trips with people, one-on-one or in small groups, but I trusted her and had no issues with this. She informed me 3 months after it happened that she had sex with one of her friends in a hotel room. She actually discussed it with a mutual friend first before telling me, to ask whether she should actually inform me, which upset me a bit more on top of the act itself. She claims this was a one-time thing, and nothing like this had happened or would happen again. She was obviously very remorseful, but this was still a massive shock. She had cheated on a past boyfriend, which always worried me a bit, but he was an abusive partner, so I understood to some extent the circumstances. My initial instinct was to break up, but I decided to give it a couple of months on the basis that she would show what I believe to be remorse and steps to change herself. Part of me worries that I initially made this decision based on the complications of a breakup, being that we own a house together and have a dog. I pushed this to the side though, as I genuinely loved her and didn't want things to end. I realized shortly before Christmas that this wasn't working for me, as I can no longer see a future with her. We had discussed marriage and kids, but I can't imagine that with someone who cheated on me. I decided to wait until after Christmas to break up, so as to not complicate existing holiday plans. However, on Christmas Eve her dad was diagnosed with late-stage cancer. Doctors have suggested he has around 3 months to live, though it could be less. My girlfriend, who is a nurse, has stopped working temporarily to become a full-time carer for her dad, along with her sister, as they don't really have anyone else who can help. Part of me thinks I should delay the breakup, and one of my friends thinks it would be cruel to break up with her now with everything going on. I think it would be worse for me to now hold off on breaking up with her, as I have no idea how long it is before it would be a good time for it. I presume there will never be a great time, but this timing is particularly awful. I feel terrible about this timing though, and despite what she has done, I would like to remain friends with my girlfriend due to groups of mutual friends, and because she has been my best friend for like 7 years now. I don't want to ruin any chance at friendship by doing something rash, but I think it would be wrong to stay with her when I know I want to end things. She has moved back in with her dad, and is coming home to our shared house once or twice a week currently. Should I break up with her when she comes back for one of these visits? I feel horrid, and I don't know if that's the right way to approach the situation, or if anyone can suggest a good way to tackle this. Sorry for any grammatical errors, I'm stressing a bit at the moment, and have written this on a bit of a whim, as my friends who I would discuss this with have got very different opinions. TLDR, girlfriend cheated on me, I gave it a month to test the waters. I now want to break up with her, but her dad is actively dying and she has become his full-time end-of-life carer. Should I be waiting for the right time, or just rip off the band-aid? Story 3. Girlfriend cheated on me 3 months ago and didn't plan on telling me. My 24M, girlfriend, 22F, cheated on me. I found out when I went through her phone. I know this is a terrible thing to do and I apologized to her profusely. I searched the word cheat in her messages and stumbled upon a thread with her friend where she went into very specific detail about how she cheated on me with a Swedish bartender and then went on to make out with 3 other men in the same night. When I told her what I read, she said that she was lying to her friend and that her reasoning for lying is that she's batshit crazy. She claims that she only made out with 1 man the entire night, despite being at 4 different bars in the same night. I broke up with her after her apologizing and her asking me to give her another chance. After the breakup, she went to her friend's house, the one she texted and lied to. I still love her, and want to give her a second chance. She's been very apologetic, but I can't help but feel like she's lying to me about what really happened, and every time I bring it up she gets emotional about the fact that I don't believe her. I'm getting nowhere in talking to her, and I don't trust any of my personal friends to give me relationship advice. Should I believe what she's saying and take her back, despite her willingness to go and see that friend? PLS help Reddit. A man who is regretful and remorseful for invading his girlfriend's privacy. Update, resolution. So last night I ended up calling her to give her a second chance. She answered and said, "Hello, I'm at S's house, I'm in the bathroom right now, they're playing music really loud outside." S is her friend that she lied to, and it sounded like she was very obviously on speakerphone. I offered her a second chance and promised that I'd do my best to look past this and to believe what she is saying. She said, "Okay, come over, I'll head home. I'm about an hour away." Boom. Instant red flag. S lives by the local university and that is only 25 minutes away. Anyways, I look past it and meet up with her at her house an hour later. I ask her to make a verbal commitment to me, and she does. However, it seemed whimsical and not serious. Like it burdened her to say that she would be faithful to me. We end up laying in bed and she falls asleep before I do. The whole time I'm laying there, it's eating me alive that she seemed to have lied about where she was that night. Given that, on top of the fact that her verbal commitment seemed shaky, I decided to check her phone again. Lo and behold, nothing at first glance in her messages. So I check her phone log and boom, a man's name with an emoji next to it. So I go into her messages app and typed the man's name in the search bar. First thing I read is, "Jay is so sassy," and then some time passed and I read "op called me pathetic." At this point I'm seeing red, not in rage but just not thinking, so I lock her phone, without even looking for more information, though I wish with every fiber in my being that I would have just taken a deep breath and read everything she said before she left that house. So I gently, I swear, wake her up and ask her if she's awake. She replied, "Yeah, I'm awake, I'm looking at you," in a sweet tone. I said, "You must think I'm the biggest idiot on the face of this earth," and just spoke my mind for about 2 minutes or so. She started to get defensive and agitated, and admitted to being at a man's house, but only to hang out as friends, and S was there, I swear. I told her that 3 other women had gotten in contact with me to hang out during the period of our relationship, but I didn't act on any of them. And that I wish to God that I had. I don't, but it felt good to say. As I'm walking out, she shows me that she's blocking my phone number and I say, "Good, you're doing me a favor." She responded by saying, F***CKU, and slammed the door. I kid you not, by the time I got to the trunk of my car to put my backpack in it, she was calling me. She said, "You don't really mean that?" I replied, "What?" "The 3 women thing." And just like that I wound up back in her apartment. At this point it's like 5 a.m. and we're not getting anywhere with our conversation. I'm holding my ground and asking her to at least be honest with me, and she continues to get emotional, and deny pretty much everything that I read on the texts. Her excuse for the pathetic comment was that the situation was pathetic and not me. Again, I wish so badly that I had just calmed down and read the entire aforementioned text thread. Fast forward to 7 a.m. I haven't slept all night and have been trying senselessly to get her to be honest for the last 2 hours. She starts insinuating that she won't make it to work today because she's going to run her car off the road. So I tell her, "I'm not leaving you until you tell me you're not going to hurt yourself." Honestly, even after all this stupid, childish *T transpired, I still care about her and feel bad for her for being so unashamedly self-destructive. I end up driving us to get coffee, and the whole time she was crying her eyes out, felt nauseous, had goosebumps all over her body and was dry gagging. I think honestly it was the guilt shutting down her nervous system, but I can't say, I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. I bought her a matcha lemonade and got myself an iced coffee with almond milk and a shot of espresso. At this point I'm locked in for the ride. After her sobbing for 5 minutes and saying that she wants to be better and that she knows she FKED up, still sticking to her guns that it was only one dude the first time. And that this second time it was just intended as a friendly gathering. Side note, in regards to the second time. Just want to make it clear that we were broken up, for like 12 hours, at the time that she went to hang out with this man. However, she was texting me that she still loves me, and to please reach out if I find it in me to forgive her. So I do what my sleep-deprived brain tells me to do and I give her a third chance. I tell her that I want to help her get out of the rut and that we'll start hitting the gym together and that we'll give another go. We end up showering together and go our separate ways for the day. I then spend the rest of the morning absolutely dumbfounded as to how I let myself get emotionally trampled upon so hard. So I decide to stay awake all morning and afternoon, until 5 p.m. when she gets home from work. My plan was to go to her apartment with the mindset of breaking up with her, thanks to your guys' advice, and ask her to show me the text message thread that I stopped reading a bit too short. She said she deleted anything and everything that had to do with any other men off her phone this morning. I stood there in absolute bewilderment and gave her one final chance, this time not at salvaging an obviously mangled, gutted, flayed relationship but to show me one last ounce of respect. She sat there in a blank stare, showing absolutely no emotion to me. She wouldn't respond to any attempts at me asking for the truth, and when she finally did speak up it was an attempt at misconstruing something I had said earlier. At some point. Honestly, I don't remember much of this interaction because of how absolute mind-rattling it was to see her act like a drone. Before I found out she cheated on me, we had a very loving, playful, seasonally active relationship. She said get out and I happily obliged by saying okay and getting up immediately to walk out. As I was leaving she said from her patio, not far from the sidewalk, FCKU, you're in a shoal? I kept my chin held high and walked away without looking at her or saying anything. As of the time of me posting this she still hasn't blocked me on Instagram or Twitter, and I can only assume it's the same for the phone connection. During the first breakup she deleted all of the pictures of me instantly, but this time all of my pictures are still up. However, the picture that she took with her friend on the night that she went to the state fair and picked out hot dogs, if you know what I'm getting at, is gone. I have to say, this has been the most wild ride in terms of a relationship I've ever experienced, and I think that I'm coming out of it prepared to handle a lot more than I previously was. Can't express my gratitude for all you guys and gals in the comments looking out for my best interest. As for me, I'll be alright. I'm in great shape, I've got beautiful silky smooth brown hair, an amazing full beard, and plenty of other options. Although I likely won't seek those other options out. Not out of fear of failure or trust issues but out of understanding that meaningless hook UPS aren't going to make me feel better about losing my best friend and partner to themselves.